Hey everybody, so we have a pretty major trade to talk about that took place last night, and Phil Kessel has been traded to the Arizona Coyotes by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Um, and this is a really interesting deal because a month ago, Phil Kessel was definitely getting traded, guaranteed to be moved. 2 weeks ago, Jim Rutherford came out and said that the trade market for Kessel had basically dried up. He rejected a deal to Minnesota with his no trade clause. And it looked like Kessel was not going to get moved. And now 2 weeks later, Kessel has been moved. He has accepted a trade to the Arizona Coyotes. And yeah, that's just how quickly things can change in the NHL. It really is a day-to-day, week-to-week thing. And just because something, maybe the market isn't there for a player right away, there could be a couple weeks later, and that's, I think, what we've seen here. So, in total, the Arizona Coyotes receive Phil Kessel, defenseman Dane Burks, and a fourth-round pick in exchange for Alex Galchenyuk and defenseman Pierre-Olivier Joseph. So, obviously, the main pieces here, the NHL-level pieces here, are Kessel going to Arizona and Galchenyuk going to Pittsburgh. The defensemen, I don't really know anything about, Burks or Joseph, so I would assume that they're either prospects or minor league guys. And then the fourth-round pick gets thrown in there for Arizona. But this is an interesting deal. One, I think it's interesting that Kessel accepted a deal to Arizona because he earlier this offseason did not accept a deal, used his no-trade clause to block a deal to the Minnesota Wild because he did not believe the Minnesota Wild were contenders. Yet he is willing to go to Arizona. So that tells me that Kessel thinks Arizona is a team on the upswing, a team on the rise. And when you look at the Coyotes, they're a team that did have a much improved season last year, even though they did not make the playoffs. And I think this coming year, they're a team that is going to be really looking to make a playoff push. I think when you see Arizona, you see their roster. Kessel makes them a lot better, especially in the goal-scoring category. They really don't have that high level of goal scoring needed to be a premier team. Kessel definitely helps them out in that a lot, adding an elite level goal scorer into that lineup. Arizona is a team that wants to make the playoffs this coming year. I think they saw what Carolina did last year. And whereas Carolina made the playoffs for the first time in 10 years and then made it all the way to the conference final and really got hot in the postseason, I think Arizona looks at themselves in a similar way as a team that can do that. A team that can probably get in as a wild card team out west and then maybe make a run. And if they can put a few more pieces together there, they could make a serious run. So I think Arizona is really looking to make the playoffs this year. And I think they're a young team with a lot of young talent who is definitely on the rise. They've been going through a rebuild for a while now. And I think Kessel looks at them and says, this is a team that could really make a push. So this trade absolutely helps the Arizona Coyotes. For Pittsburgh, obviously Pittsburgh's looking to make changes after the way last season ended. Kessel was one of the top guys talked about getting moved. He's an older player, big cap hit, and not exactly the still a decent productive player, but not somebody who's a real game changer. And it's not like he came in and saved Pittsburgh in the playoffs. They got swept out in the first round. So I think he was a very movable guy for the Penguins. And they get Alex Galchenyuk back in return, who young guy with a lot of potential, a lot of talent, but really hasn't put it all together at the NHL level. This is now Galchenyuk's third team. He's played for Montreal. He played for Arizona. Now he's gone to Pittsburgh. This is Galchenyuk's third team in his very young NHL career. Starting to wonder about him. I've never been a huge Galchenyuk fan. He didn't have a bad year last year with Arizona, however. He did pick it up a little bit compared to where he was at when he ended in Montreal. But still, I feel like something's missing with Galchenyuk. He has not been able to put it all together at the NHL level, unfortunately. But now he's going to Pittsburgh. He's playing in a very skilled lineup. He's going to be a part of a forward group with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and, Jake Gensel, Brian Russ, assuming Patrick Hornquist is still there, he could potentially get moved. There's a lot of talent in that Pittsburgh forward group. If you put, Galchenyuk in that environment where he doesn't have to necessarily be the guy, but he just has to be a guy, he might start to flourish a little bit more. So Pittsburgh brings in a young player with a lot of potential who has yet to reach that potential. And Arizona gets a proven goal scorer and a veteran guy who I think can really help their team in the offense department. So we'll see how this trade works out for both of these teams over the next couple of seasons. But I definitely think Arizona gets something that they needed desperately into their lineup by adding Kessel. And for Pittsburgh, they've wanted to move Kessel, so they get that, and they get a young player in return. So we'll see how it all works out, but a pretty big trade that happened yesterday to move Phil Kessel to the Arizona Coyotes. I don't know how many people saw that coming. But with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the comment section below, or in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. We're on our road to 1,000 subscribers, so if you could, please help out with that and hit that subscribe button. We're almost there. Help spread the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.